What's up, gamers? And I'm sure you're asking, why is this video being made, YouTube? Obviously, Robin is better than Topaz. Like, it's just bar none better. And you know what? The reason I'm making it is because of a video I made a couple days ago. I made a video the other day, guys, called Why Free-to-Play Players Need to Skip or Pull FEIXIAO. Now, I made this video basically going over all the pros and cons with FEIXIAO, and a lot of you guys had issues with this one point right here, which is I put Nvidia Topaz #1, and I put Robin at #2, saying that she's not essential for the team. Now, I do still stand by the fact that I don't think she is absolutely A tier essential for this team. I don't think any one of these characters is a must-have for the team. I think you just need to have one of them for the team. So in today's video, we will be going over the major comparisons between both Robin and Topaz on this team to see who is better in what situation and what damage numbers look like with both of them off the team and replacements for both of them on that team. So we're going to be taking a look at that. Another big point of contingency was, should you pull Robin over Topaz? Now, I didn't intend this to be a pull priority. I don't even think in the video I said this is who you should pull for. I just said I like Topaz and Newbie the best for the team, and then I like Robin, and then I can venture in for the team. That was more of a personal preference than like a pull priority list. Now, I would say Robin, I think overall is much better for your account than Topaz and Newbie is. Not to say Topaz and Newbie can't bring value to your account, because I do think they can actually bring quite a bit of value to your account, especially in follow-up scenarios, which we'll see when we talk about damage numbers in a second here. And then one of the final points you guys brought up was using MOZE on the team to replace Topaz. The reason why Topaz can be replaced so easily is because there is a lot of other options in the game, or I guess free-to-play options in the game. And yes, I do think she does have a lot more free-to-play options that you can swap out, but we'll also be looking at damage comparison numbers with them on the team, with Robin versus Topaz on the team, to see what that damage number looks like. Alright, so first things first, gamers, let's go ahead and take a look at this site here where I'm doing some of my damage calculation numbers at. Let me know in the comment section down below if there's a better site for this or anything like that. But I wanted to show you just basically here the stats that we're using for FEIXIAO in these calculations, so you guys can go and double check this stuff. I'll also show you buffs and stuff. But crit rate 83%, crit damage 169%. I know it's not the best it could be. I know it's not the worst it could be. It's probably on the upper echelon of mid. So the reason I had the damage numbers like this is to more relate to like a free-to-play low spender or like mid-game account, you would say, right? So I'm going to be running with these numbers here. Also has 3000 attack, 137 speed. As far as light cones in the scenario, we're using sword play at S5 with max buff. That means every single stack is up on the enemy at the time. As for the relic set, we're running 4-piece of the winged soaring set with a 2-piece Duran with both abilities active. But I mean, the stats really don't matter here because I've manipulated them in the subs anyway to kind of get these numbers over here. Now for the buffs we use, obviously we're getting the follow-up buff from Duran, everything like that. And then right here on this page, guys, I just kind of have a bunch of different like buffing and debuffing numbers here to kind of signify what team we're going to run on with. And also, guys, one really big thing too, I'm not ever afraid to say that I'm wrong on something, especially if I need to do additional research and I'm wrong on something. And this is something I was wrong on. So I'm not afraid to show you that I'm wrong, but I hope this does inform people of maybe people that had the same thought process that I had going into this and not really, I guess, looking at the math as much. So we're going to go into it now, look at the exact math and see what the actual damage numbers look like. Of course, there were nuances with it, which we'll talk about a little bit later after this section, and you guys can let me know in the comment section or down below if that's cope or something. But we're going to take a look at straight damage numbers right now per ult damage. This is not looking at any of the nuances of like action advance or how many times someone follows up or anything like that. We're talking just bare bones by the numbers. How much damage do we get out with using each character on the team, or characters on the team, you could say. Alright, so guys, so first things first here, this is our baseline. So this is Robin on her own. This is how much damage she can provide for FEIXIAO per ult. That's 142,000. Topaz Newbie 117, which is obviously lower than what she is providing here, right? So we have up, down, arrow, and this is our baseline basically, right? With having both Robin and Topaz Newbie on the same team. So this is gonna be our best in slot scenario here. So we're gonna see what can outperform that, what is under that, and everything in between. So let's go ahead now and take a look at some of the comparisons. So this whole row right here, guys, is actually going to be for Robin. So this is Robin with all of her pairings we compared against, and we compared the exact same units together. So some of these, like Ruan May, doesn't really make as much sense, or Bronya. Well, Bronya makes a little bit more sense, but you get the point, right? I wanted to do an apples to apples comparison. Then we're going to go into the nitty gritty and look at like different types of team comps in between. So we have Robin on top row, and then on bottom row we will be having Topaz here with her pairings, right? And as you guys can see here, right, there is a very clear winner of who deals the most damage on the team with pairings, right? If you were to replace Topaz on the team and you had Rob on the team, you would be doing damage in every single scenario here with different varying values of success, right? I want to say the highest margin here is definitely this number right here with MOZE with Topaz, with MOZE with this. Obviously, he's putting out a little bit more damage himself, so you also get that. But he also is offering that 25% follow-up vulnerability to the enemy as well, which FEIXIAO can take use of, while she's just still offering the 50%. So you get much more value out of having, I guess, a plethora of buffs versus just her buff. But this is where I guess I was technically wrong at, right? Because I did say she is the best on the team for her. That's not the case. Robin is the best on the team for her, but that's not where the ball stops at, right? Because I do also want to talk about what are some mixed comparisons looking, right? Let's say we didn't have Robin at all, right? Say you had Topaz, FEIXIAO, Venturine, and you wanted to use another buffer replacement for Robin, right? The main point I was trying to make here is you don't need Robin on this team. And what I mean by this, guys, is as you can see, we have 213. This is our base right here, right? So let's go ahead and write base. This is what our base is, right? And what I really wanted to compare here is what the damage numbers here look like versus what the damage numbers here look like. And yes, I understand these are more free-to-play options than this is, right? The main point I'm trying to make here, though, is the best option that we have to replace for sub-DPS roles in terms of what Topaz is able to offer, right, does net you lower damage overall than replacing someone like a Robin on this team. And that's just because of the fact that a lot of the good buffers we have in the game right now are best in slot buffers are 5-star buffers right now. Whenever we get more 5-star follow-up characters that help in a more supporting role, then sure, maybe this would go up, right? But just look at the numbers here, right? If we replace Robin for Ruan Mei, we're hitting 180k per ult, which is the closest thing is MOZE here, which is actually really interesting that MOZE is able to provide this much to the team on top of extra attacks here, right? But Bronya is another solid option here. She's a standard 5-star character, which you can get absolutely for free after your 300 summons, or you might have got her when losing a 50-50 or just summoning on the standard banner in general. But this brings you a lot closer. This brings us 10k under what Robin's able to offer. Now, the big downside, I guess you could say, with Bronya is SP inefficiency, but the thing is, using her on a team with Topaz, you do have more ability for SP efficiency because you can use Topaz as an SP generator, right? So we can put SP generator here, right? Whereas Bronya on a team with Robin really doesn't work as well. Not to say it doesn't work at all, because it can work, but it doesn't work as well because you are practically eliminated Robin off the field for at least 2 turns, right? Because when she's in her Concerto state, she cannot get any SP in Concerto, right? Which means now you're going to be using a skill every turn practically with Bronya, right? To make sure her efficiency is maximized. And then you're also having to use a skill with FEIXIAO as well every turn. So you're basically gouging out 2 skill points, up to 4 skill points. Your only SP generator is going to be your support character or your sustain character, which would be something like a Venturine, right? Which gives you 1 skill point. You're still in the whole SP, whereas with a team like this, you can practically use this every single turn. Keep using Topaz's basic attacks because it does count as follow-up attacks, which do bring Nvidia back up to the front, which does give FEIXIAO extra charges, which we're going to talk about more of these nuances a little bit later. But this is the main point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that the replacement options that we currently have in the game right now for Robin, while they do have a higher rarity than what we currently have for the replacement options for Topaz, they are able to close the gap in damage on that team much more than these units right here are able to close the gap on right now. Like I said before, if we're comparing everything apples to apples here, it doesn't really matter, right? Robin's a clear winner. Robin is the clear winner in most things. Robin is the more universal character. You don't have to run Robin on this team. You can run Robin on many other teams, which is a very good point on why you should be pulling Robin. She is one of the best supporting characters in the game. She is there neck and neck with Ruan Mei, guys, and arguably in a lot of situations she's better than Ruan Mei. But that's another debate for another video on who's better between Ruan Mei and Robin, right? But overall, guys, right, if we were to take an apples-to-apples comparison, which I get this is not a real apples-to-apples comparison because we're comparing 4 stars to 5 stars, but these are the best sub-DPS replacements that we have right now for this team versus these two right here, which are practically the best support replacements in the game right now, right? These are easier to get more value out of these just because they are able to net you more damage, and you also don't have to worry about as many SP inefficiencies if you were to run a team like this as well. This is like the main kind of bread and butter with the video, right? Like, as we can see, this damage number is down bad, this damage number is way down bad in comparison to what Robin's able to bring, because obviously having 2 DPS on the team that kind of buff, like, is going to take your damage. You gotta think Ruan and this are giving a huge plethora of buff, and Honkai, Star Rail, Genshin Impact, whatever game Hoyoverse makes, they are very keen on diversity of stats. So as long as you're diversifying your stats, you can usually get out more damage, right? Which I think that's why we see the lower damage here, because you don't really have diversity in stat. Right here you have follow-up vulnerability going off, and then right here you have some crit damage from Harmony March 7th, and then we also have some vulnerability coming here from her as well. There's not really big buffs going into the team here, whereas we have what, attack, crit, and damage percentage with this. We have damage percentage in all type res pin here, and you're getting a plethora of buffs which help out the damage number much more, because you're hitting more of those multipliers at higher values than what these are offering, right? So Robin, what does she really offer? Buffs. Buffs out the ass, right? So we have crit damage buff here. She has damage percentage buff here as well, and then what else she have? Attack percent, right? So she's offering a plethora of buffs to the team, and with these 3 stats in mind here, guys, we're going to be hitting 3 of the damage pools here in terms of what our damage formula is. We're hitting base, crit, and damage bonus here. So she's hitting 3 of these multipliers here, which are separate multipliers, which is really good if you're hitting separate multipliers, because this is how you enhance this number as much as possible, by hitting separate multipliers and hitting later multipliers, which is why vulnerability is such a huge debuff in a lot of scenarios, right? She also is going to be having action advance, right? So she does a 100% action advance for the whole team, which brings everyone back up to the front. Whoop-de-doo, she's basically Bronya, but hits the whole team. Then we have Miss Topaz Noombi, right? Which is reliant on FUA attacks from Noombi, right? But her basic and skill attacks do both count as FUA attacks, right? So this is going to be really good. Plus her Noombi comes back up to the front in relation to how many follow-up attacks you do. It's at a 50% action advance forward there. And then on top of that, she gives 50% vulnerability. So we'll put Vol on the enemy target for follow-up damage only, right? So this 50% vulnerability is going to be hitting right here on the line, but that's the only thing it's really offering. Let me put this line back up here for this as well. So as you can see, Robin's still hitting most of these with action advance forward, while Topaz Noombi only hitting this multiplier right here. Now let's get into MOZE. MOZE offers basically the same thing that kind of she offers. He offers 25% vulnerabilities with follow-up damage, right? Which is what I get from this right here. I could be coping out. Let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. Which is the follow-up attack damage taken by prey is increased by 25%, because if the enemy is in prey state, that means it's a debuff on the enemy, which is very similar to like proof of debt. This would still apply the same thing in my opinion. I mean, obviously I don't know 100% on that, but that's what I would assume from that anyways. I don't have server access, so I don't really know. So he's also hitting this as well, but he does do a lot of DPS things because he disappears from the field just like Robin does, except Robin can still get hit. He can't get hit at all, but he clears completely from the field and the action order, and then he'll be able to do follow-up attacks per 3 attacks your allies do, or per 3 actions your allies do on the enemy, right? Let's just put 3 attack here, right? So he does a FUA per 3 attacks there, which then plays into a more damaging role. And then we can go here to March 7th. March 7th has E basic attack, right? So E basic, she also offers speed to your allies as well. And then she also offering a 60% crit damage buff. And then also some break effect buff as well, right? So BE buff here, right? So where is she hitting? She is going to be hitting this crit multiplier right here, which makes her a decent buffer. But that's the only multiplier that she's going to be hitting. Mainly here, guys, she's giving you speed, break effect, and then she's also getting a lot of attacks off, which then in turn allows you to get more attacks with FEIXIAO off, which is the nuances we were talking about before. These characters right here really allow her to get off more attacks, right? This is what makes Robin more viable on this team. If you did not have both of these characters, Robin, in my opinion, would not be as viable on the team, because FEIXIAO completely relies on your allies using attacks. Even MOZE, right? MOZE relies on your allies getting attacked. That's why he's a sub DPS. That's why he's not as good, in my opinion, as Miss Topaz here, because of the fact she works so similarly to how she works, with the same buff at a lower level, and then the follow-up attacks are a little bit less consistent. I would say if you're using a full follow-up team, you're able to get Noombi off every 2 attacks versus his 3 attacks on average. Obviously, action value works different than like a guaranteed set in stone 3 attack number here, but you get the point I'm trying to make here. And then also you have to take into account that she is giving your whole team a full additional turn. So that means everyone in your team, including FEIXIAO, is able to attack again. So that means FEIXIAO is giving herself 1 free point again. And then all of your other allies are giving, what, 1, 2, 3. So another point there. So you're getting a full, what, 1, 2, 3 points for the rest of your team as well. But if she actually advanced, so you'd actually be getting like 1.5 points. You can't really count this because she's off the field when you use her ultimate, right? So 1.5 points there. If you have follow, potentially more there. So you also have to take that into account too in terms of like the calculation you're doing. But I'm not taking that into account right now because that's a whole fucking different ball game on its own. The main point I'm trying to make with this section here is there's more nuances than just buffing ally, right? You need to play off of what FEIXIAO actually likes, and that's getting actions off while getting a good amount of buffs as well, which is why I was trying to say that I like Topaz Numi #1 because they offer those extra attacks and they offer that juicy 50% vulnerability debuff on the enemy as well. Whereas Robin only really offers those buffs. She offers 2 things, she offers 1 thing, but a lot of that 1 thing. Anyways, gamers, I kind of scammed you guys. I was going to do a bar for bar comparison between Robin, Topaz, Numi, but I realized I feel like I've already kind of explained that in the past 2 parts of like the big differences here. Overall, guys, my opinion has changed a little bit. I do think that Robin is the better choice for your account. If you're trying to get someone for your account, I think Robin is the much better option. I'm just saying that Topaz Numi is not as bad as you're making them out to be, right? You're making them out as like they are the most replaceable unit. I agree with the fact that they have the easiest replacements. I don't think they have the best replacements because I think the replacements for Robin are much better versus the replacements we have for Topaz and Numi right now in the game. That's one of the reasons why I was saying that she's my #1 pick, just because of the fact in this particular niche team, she does offer a fuck ton of value for this team, arguably the most value. She also offers a bunch of value for the rest of your account. She technically has the better replacements than Topaz and Numi's replacements. You have more free-to-play replacements for Topaz and Numi, whereas you don't have those replacements for Robin, right? Or not as free-to-play replacements as Robin is, right? Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully I cleared up the air. I will admit that I was wrong. I'm fine with admitting that I'm wrong on things. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. I like doing videos like this. I like being proven wrong on things and going in and getting into the nitty gritty and looking at this stuff. It really excites me to make videos like that. Anyways, that's going to do it, guys. See you guys. See you later, losers. By the way, I still think Topaz and Numi are #1.